Hey everyone, welcome to this week's Your Weekly Therapy podcast. My name is Mr. Williams or Tal Williams. I'm a therapist, social worker, and teacher. And over here we have the lovely...
I'm Anne-Marie DePietro, and this week I'm still just a nurse practitioner.
Not just. I feel like...
Well, I feel like you're like, I'm, a teacher and a tailor and a butcher and a therapist and a
the butcher,
social
the
media
baker, the
personality and an actor
a weatherman.
and a sheep and a horse.
A sheep, most days. No,
Yeah.
I think...
And then I'm like, I'm a nurse practitioner.
Well, but see, it's like you're a mental health nurse practitioner at that. Because here's the thing. Like, the reason why I say social worker and therapist is because you could be a social worker and not do therapy. And you could also be a therapist but not a social worker, right?
Right. Do you want to know something so cute? I was doing one of my drug talks today. I do like lunches for a particular medication. And I was there before, and the one nurse practitioner was like, oh, after you were here the last time, like so-and-so decided to go back for her psychiatric certification. She's like a family MP. Yeah, she's already into school. She quit the job. She's like in the program doing it.
I love that.
Yeah.
See,
Wasn't that
you're
cute?
making an influence on people.
Yeah, not just a nurse practitioner.
Not just nurse practitioner, you know?
Yeah.
So today we were going to talk about bullying, but then we were going to talk about the person who needs to, like, chillax, take a chill pill for the week. I just informed you of this before we started, and I cannot wait to get into it. But Ronald DeSantis, because we're not going to call him by a nickname because you can't do that in Florida unless you get written permission. Ronald DeSantis, the governor of Florida, has put in that during Pride Month in June, no state buildings can light up rainbow.
Why is that?
Because he's incredibly homophobic and problematic. So, like, it can, instead, though, from all of June until July 4th, or maybe it was, like, all summer even, everything has to be lit up red, white, and blue.
Stop it.
I swear to God. Isn't that wild?
Can't.
Which is so, like, I remember, like, going to school in, like, Fort Wayne, Indiana, I think it was I'm not even going to remember the name of the bridge, but the bridge was always, like, lit up rainbow for Pride. Philly does
The VA
that.
hospitals are allowed to fly a rainbow flag in June.
Yeah, I mean, like...
Literally the military.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, guess what?
What?
The military changed their rules that before it used to be only heterosexual couples were entitled to IVF benefits.
Oh.
Right. You're only entitled in general if
Yeah.
you have a service-related injury like that affects reproduction.
Yeah.
But even if you had a service-related injury that affects reproduction and you were a lesbian, it wouldn't pay for it. But in March, they changed it to recognize same-sex couples. And unwed women, too, who want to have a baby.
Here's the thing, and this is what I feel like is so fresh about Ron DeSantis in this, is that, like, people, I think, assume that military means conservative, and if you talk to vets, people who have come back from war, right? They're like, I did not go there for y'all to be acting like this.
Oh, for
right?
sure.
Like, it's like I didn't fight for one person, like
For
one
sure.
specific type of person. So
Yeah.
it's wild to me that I'm like,
Colleen's best friend is, what's it called? Deployed right now in a country I'm not allowed to say, but a war zone.
Yeah.
Right? And he's,
it's like, babe, what's the holdup?
he's going to come back and want that building in Rainbow.
If you're fighting for everyone, it's like the denial of that's just wild to me.
I know. You're a police officer man that that you love. Yeah.
He gonna be at the wedding.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Colleen had to send him a save the date because he didn't get one.
Weird.
Oh, you know why?
Why?
So half the people got them, half the people didn't. Apparently, dark envelopes cannot be sorted by the U.S. Postal Service, machine. It, gets confused, and they get, put into other piles. Because we couldn't figure it out, because, my mom's one neighbor got it, and my mom's other neighbor didn't. So, clearly it's not location, right? Then we thought, oh, she mailed them at different post offices, so maybe it's the one she mailed here.
Right.
Nope, wasn't that either. The moral of the story is all of the vets at the wedding, of which there will be many males, and Jason will love it, want rainbow lights on the building.
Ronald DeSantis, you're wrong. I don't know what to say. You're just, and I thought this was cute. There was then a bunch of kids, or a bunch of people even, that took like flashlights, like colored rainbowed flashlights, and then made a rainbow themselves, like standing on a bridge. And I was like,
my God,
like at night, I'm like, you know
so
what?
cute.
I love that. I love that because that's like when Hilary Duff made that infomercial. Don't you shouldn't say gay.
You talk about that all the time
because
I've never seen it.
Okay. So literally, I talk about this constantly.
Okay,
it is
we'll
one of my
make
favorite
a clip
infomercials.
and insert it in
yeah,
the
we're
clip.
gonna. If you have not seen the Hilary Duff "You Shouldn't Say Gay, Don't Say Gay" video that she made like 15 or 20 years ago, she was saying "Don't say gay" because that's like as a way of saying stupid. That's mean. But I think that, like I always say, Ronald DeSantis he took that baby to heart.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's a Hilary Duff stan.
Oh, for sure.
Every gay man is.
I also think that it just like brings more attention to the LGBT community.
Oh, for sure.
So like
You're,
he's
like,
really doing the
mobilizing
opposite.
them.
Or maybe he's doing it on purpose because he's a gay too.
Oh, he has to be.
Oh.
Didn't he get married at Disney World?
I mean, you can't hate gays that much and not be gay. Like, I'm convinced.
Oh, for sure.
One of my best friends in college was dating a guy who was having nightmares about being gay. And, like, was so upset about it.
Calls
like,
coming from inside the house.
I know. I was like, I almost said her name. Girlfriend, you might want to, like, consider, like, not doing that. Because
here's the thing. They've done enough, like, studies that show, like, research, experiments, that men who, like, refute this idea of, like, oh, no, it's so homophobic. I can't. They're horrible people. And then men who are like, oh, yeah, like, I can look at a guy and be like, he's attractive. It's just not for me. You know, the men who are more nonchalant about it and just more secure, like, oh yeah, that guy's, super attractive or hot, but like, I wouldn't want to do anything. I don't think of him sexually. Are the ones who show way less attraction or arousal than the men who are like completely homophobic.
Oh, I believe that 100%.
Yeah, and they've repeated the study like
100%.
I don't even know how many times, and I'm just like, baby, it's
yeah. I truly believe the most homophobic people are either wishing they were with a dude or have been secretly.
For sure. Absolutely.
And they're probably voting for Trump just to cover up their gayness.
Yeah. Listen, being a more effeminate guy, I say now with my head completely shaved. Yeah, I'm a little spicy.
Are you really feminine?
I'm gay.
I don't know.
I'm a
Really?
I'm a little bit of a homo. In a great way, though. Sorry, I'm like picking Lynn off of the microphone. If you don't know ADHD, baby.
Right. I don't know. Do you think I'm gay?
I think that you have dabbled in lesbianism.
Yeah, maybe. A few times.
Just a little dabble here and there. No, I think like being like even when I was in like high school, not like out, right? Or in middle school even, and not out. Eventually when I was in high school, I was out. But like that was, for a while, the number one thing that people would make fun of and tease me and bully me for when I was
being gay.
Oh, for sure. Oh. Absolutely. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think it just like it wasn't even like I could like hide it really, right? Like for a while, I think that people were, I don't know, some people were convinced, I don't know how, but like when I just wasn't ready to come out, and like breaking news, like I am and have been attracted to women, right? So it wasn't even like I was like lying to myself. I was like, oh no.
Are you
like,
attracted to me?
Very. Like I like immediately we're getting married.
I wouldn't be like super offended if you just said you were attracted to women and you were like, no.
No. Oh my god. No. No. Like I like so it was like a weird thing because I wasn't ready to be out. I wasn't also like lying when I was like, attracted or dating like a girl in high school. But like it was constant teasing and bullying over that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was that when you were first bullied in high school?
No.
Oh.
I was first bullied probably like kindergarten, if not preschool, for sure. I had a horrific speech impediment. I couldn't say my R's. And
you have the cute speech impediment. Colleen had that too.
Eventually, I think it became like the one that everyone's like, oh, that's like it's endearing, right? But that would probably been like second, third grade. It was just the R's as W's. Before that, it was like no one could understand me. My sister would have to translate for me. Like when I was younger, I was getting very bad ear infection. I was learning to talk, and so like I just like wouldn't use my tongue to talk. So it was like if you put your tongue in the center of your mouth, I don't know if I talk like that. That's what I sounded like.
Oh.
So that's I would say when people first started making fun of me, and because I would cry at the drop of a hat. Like everything made me cry.
I don't even remember like why I started getting bullied.
When did it start?
My first memory of it is, so I lived in a neighborhood where like a ton of babies were born at the same time, like excessive numbers, including myself.
Okay.
So, and like those were also the people that built their houses together. So like they all knew each other. Everyone knew each other.
It was like a club, a little.
Right. Yeah, I was not in the club though, but that'll come later. So, we lived at the top of the hill and the bus stop was at the bottom of the hill.
Okay.
So every morning my mom used to come out in her slippers and like this red puffy robe and wave to the bus, like as it was going by, like wave to me. Okay.
Did you like that, or were you embarrassed by that?
I got teased for that so bad.
Oh.
So bad, but I never told my mom not to.
Yeah. But like being teased, even
if
you were
my
teased
mom
for
still does that. I'm almost 37 years old. My mom still does that, and I still honk the horn when I go down the hill.
Wave.
When I go down the hill,
Oh
the
my
same exact spot.
I think, listen, I think that's kind of cute though. Like, even if, I mean, it's shitty that they teased you for it.
They also made fun of my name, which is like really interesting. They called me Amma, but they would like chant it like Amma, like in like a teasing way, which is like so weird. But then in high school, I decided to reclaim the name and like, you know, I'll get into that stuff
The
later,
names are like the fact kids can get like so crafty with names, right? Like, so everyone started calling me Telly as soon as I was born, because my aunt told me, well, my parents, because you know I'm an infant, I'm a literal newborn, that I didn't look like a Tell, I looked more like a Telly, because I didn't look like a lot like my dad at all. And so my entire family called me Telly, and then when I was in like first grade, I think I was like, I don't want to be Telly anymore, I want to be Tell. And so then I think I've told this story before, but I will tell until the cows come home. Sarah Barker, when I was in first grade, I was a hypochondriac, still am. She was chewing her eraser on her pencil. And I was like, oh my God, I just found out what lead was.
Is her name really Sarah Barker?
Sarah Barker. I love Sarah Barker. I call her every day in first grade. Is Sarah Barker home?
Do you still talk to her?
I haven't talked to her in a couple, I mean, it was a while, but we like, yeah. Okay. I think like maybe a few years ago, we sent like a message or something. But
just wondering.
So I would call, I called Sarah Barker all the time. But I just found out what lead was, and I found out that lead was in pencils. It's not. It's like graphite or whatever. But way back when it was. And it's because I watched Tommy Boy when he's like, did you eat lead paint chips? And I was like, oh. So she's eating her eraser, and I freak out. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Sarah, you're going to die. And she was like, what? I'm like, you can't, there's what in that? There's not lead in that. So I raised my hand because she wouldn't stop chewing on her eraser. And I was like, Mrs. Overman, Sarah Barker's eating her eraser. And then she's like, no, I'm not. And she starts crying. And so then everyone in class started calling me Tell the Tattletale.
Oh.
For the rest of the year. And I think the only reason why it stopped is because I switched schools, because like they changed the like line of where like you go to this one to this one. So that's the only reason why I think it stopped, because I went to different school and no one knew me as Tell the Tattletale.
Oh my God. I used to also be made fun of because my mom used to put these like giant bows in my hair.
Which is in now, by the way.
Right. You know what? Let me tell you my favorite bullying story. Have I told you the story about leopard print?
No.
Okay. So I feel like I've told this story. Who did I tell this to? Anyway, in 4th grade, I was at the Value City. Do you know what Value City is?
Wait, was it like an old like electronic store?
No, it was like an old school Ross or like Marshalls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was in Delco, and it was this whole thing. I mean, everyone from Delco went to the Value City. Just kidding. They all went to the Limited too, so that's probably why I got bullied. Anyway, I was at the Value City and I saw this leopard coat. Okay. It was suede on one side and it was reversible leopard fur on the other side. And I was like, Mom, I have to have that coat. But like, it was an adult coat, right? Like I was in 4th grade, but like I was tall. Like it fit kind of like whatever. I got bullied so much for that coat because it was animal print. Okay.
Like not like PETA bullying because it's animal, or just because it was animal print?
No, animal print. Like, you're a loser wearing leopard print. Like, no one wears leopard
Shut
print.
up.
This was like 1994. And yeah, like, I think my mom still has it in the closet. I'm going to ask her and wear it. And then when leopard print became trendy, I was like, this is vindication for my 4th grade bullying. I was ahead of the trend by decades. And now it's like, if you don't like leopard print, you a loser.
Yeah, if you don't wear leopard print. It's everywhere too.
Everywhere.
Yeah, you won't see a Real Housewife of New Jersey not wearing leopard print.
Never.
I'd be repulsed if I didn't.
Never.
We need the leopard print, mama.
Bullied for that coat, the bow in my hair that I wore with it, my mom standing on the driveway looking at me in it, and my name.
The bow thing is throwing me though, because sister girlfriend, everyone's wearing bows now.
I know.
Everyone is. It's very the Heathers. I really
think that, like, my mom was ahead of the trends and everyone just wasn't ready for her.
No. And I have to tell you this too. It's ironic that we both have one of these. So, moms, school buses, all that. Mm-hmm. So when I was going into 8th grade, maybe? No. 8th grade or freshman year, I can't remember. I was in summer school multiple times, I should say, so it doesn't really matter. But I was going to summer schools the first day. The bus was picking me up, and it was only half day, and you had to pack a snack because, like, the cafeteria is closed, obviously, at the school. And so I'm on the bus, and I'm, like, mortified to go. I don't know anyone that's going. I get on and, like, I don't know why. Did you ever, like, have so much anxiety to get on the bus of, like, who am I going to sit with?
Oh, yeah,
even when it was the bus that I had been on for, like, a year already, every single day that I stepped on that.
Yeah.
So I get on the bus, I sit down, and then my mom, the bus is pulling away. She's sprinting out of the house. She goes, Telly. The bus stops. You forgot your snack, and holds it up. I'm in middle school. I was mortified. And I looked at the bus driver, like, you can just keep going. She's like, no, go get your snack. Keep going. And I did find out, so ironically, the next stop was my best friend, still to this day of, like, 25 years now, was also in summer school. We just didn't tell each other, and we're taking the exact same class. We sat next to each other. I was like, thank God you're here.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
I don't know what it is about moms and school buses.
Yeah, I don't know. I got made fun of, like, for wearing my backpack on both shoulders.
Which just means that now you don't have a shitty back.
Right. I mean, I do have a shitty back, but
it's not, like,
it's not as bad as it was. Like, when you think about it, these things are ridiculous. Like,
100%.
The things that I got teased for, no one gets teased for now, but they get teased for, like, more absurd things
for
now.
Sure.
Like, it is wild out there.
And I think that's like, I feel like it was so not harmless, obviously. I mean, I this stuff they said about me when I was in school wasn't harmless, but I feel like it was, like, picking on, which isn't okay. Like, don't pick on people.
It was teasing.
Yeah, and, like, teaching now and even with the preschoolers, or, like, at times I'll go to the one of the CCIUs. I'm not gonna say which one. I'll work with the high school students on, like, they have programs where they can, like, get their CDA when they graduate, and, like, go and teach
tech programs.
Yeah. There are a bunch of, like, and I'll go there and work with some of the high schoolers even, and I'm just, like, astonished by, like, what they're made fun of or teased with now. I always say that if you were teased as a kid and you become a teacher, usually you are one of two things. You are, like, vigilant about, like, stopping bullies because you know how that feels, or you're trying to be, like, the cool kid now. And so you see that with, like, teachers that are, like, you know, buddy with all, like, the athletes and stuff. I'm like, ew, stop.
Yeah, I hated that too.
It's so weird. So
I hated it.
I'm like, I can imagine that you weren't popular, or you're trying to, like, relive your glory days, which is
we had
weird.
a girl and a male teacher that, like, years later started dating, and you're like,
ooh,
you know, was that 16 and dating my teacher on Lifetime?
So gross.
I know. And it was a Catholic school, bro.
Right. Well, I mean, okay, so actually, funny thing, which sometimes I get accused of, like, bullying when I like re-stitch someone's video or talk about something they had put on there, right? And genuinely, I don't feel like that was for the most part, my intention.
Are they bullying someone to
for sure,
begin with?
usually, or like, or me, you know, like, I think yeah.
Well, you're fair game at that point.
Oh my God,
the person doing it's fair game.
And the thing is, here's the thing: when I'm re-stitching it, or when I'm like, I'm not like calling names or what they did to me. I'm like educating in a very like sassy way, right? So, and I don't. The video was long. The guy said in the video that like when he was in sports growing up, and like everyone slapped your ass when you're in sports.
I saw that. Yeah.
And I was just thinking to myself like, why is this okay? Like, that's so fucked that like that we like have okayed this, and people are like, no, it's okay because it's sports, don't make it weird. I'm like, no, we should have never normalized coaches who are sometimes the student's teacher. Yeah, it's like smacking their butts. I'm like, this has never been okay. I didn't realize like when I made the video too, so many people
I would call
also
Childline if I saw 100% coach touching a student's butt.
Like, because, and again, I all I could think of too is like that coach is also probably their teacher.
Yeah.
You know, if like sometimes like
has anyone met Jerry Sandusky?
Right.
Seriously.
Thank you. So but people are like,
I'm sure he was tapping people on the ass.
It's just not, and it's also just encouraging like learning, right? Like that's how we congratulate, or that's how if we do so well, then this. And I'm like, as teachers, as educators, as people that are working with kids in schools, this is the shit that we need to be cognizant of, and like
verbal praise, high five,
right? Thumbs up, fist bump,
yeah. We at the same time we're both like,
I do remember this. Okay, so did you ever try a sport or music or anything like that in school and was just like teased for it?
So I was bullied for that was probably what I was most self-conscious about. I am the least athletic person on the face of the earth. I had legit paralyzing anxiety about gym class.
No.
Like when we played dodgeball, to this day,
yeah,
I have a fear of balls coming at me, which is super ironic, right? Just saying. But so when one of my best friends in college played Penn State volleyball, I would sit through those games so anxious because me and all my friends would like sit in the front row, and I'd be like, please don't let a ball come near me, please don't let a ball come near me, please. And of course there would be a ball thrown. Now any normal person would just like catch it and you know, but I was like
screaming, ducking out of the way. So you didn't do any sports? Not
at all.
Did you do any activities?
I played the flute in grade school. I sucked at it. I did ministry team in high school.
She got fear in mama.
I was a Kairos leader.
What the fuck is that?
Kairos is this retreat that you went on like at all the Catholic schools. I don't know if it's Delco, Chesco. Is it in Pennsylvania? Is it national? I don't fucking know.
I've never heard
Kairos.
of it. I mean, I'm also not
Comment
Catholic.
If you went to Kairos. I don't know if enough people watch this to have gone to Kairos, but I hope that someone does. At least Colleen can comment. Colleen, talk about Kairos.
It's a retreat?
Yeah. Timmy, talk about Kairos.
For Catholics.
Okay, you go like your junior, senior year of high school, and basically they take you to a rectory or like a nunnery. A convent. This is so bad. I'm like so far from my Catholic youth. So you go there and you stay for the weekend, and you have like Kairos leaders that do like a table thing. And it's honestly basically like a mental health retreat, like where you like talk about your deepest, darkest secrets and like cry and shit. And your leader like tells some story of something they struggled with and like whatever. And then, but the big thing with Kairos is that like during one of the days, you get all of these letters that people write you from all of your family, but then everyone who's been on Kairos before. My ex-boyfriend, Alex Fornell, literally wrote the longest Kairos letter to me on the face of the earth. I still have it. Maybe I'll bring it and read it. It's wild.
Like, why did he write such a long one?
I mean, he was in love with me. I don't know. But anyway, so then that whole retreat would happen and whatever. And then when you got back to school, it would be a surprise where you would get back at night, and it would be a surprise where like your family was there. All the Kairos people were there. Alex Fornell was there with pajama pants on. Never forget it. And you know what pajama pants are like.
Oh, yeah.
That was purposeful.
Yeah, we did like an overnight thing when I was like in 5th grade. You went to Camp Amigo for a day. for a night. Like you stayed over.
Oh, Kairos was like you had like a team name and you had like letters. You put it in like your AIM profile.
Shut.
Swear to God.
Up.
Yeah, yeah. I still remember girls on my Kairos team. Yeah. Caroline. I can't remember her name. Caroline. I don't know, but she wore bracelets like all up her arm, and she would get teased for that too. But girl, you were ahead of the trend also.
Everyone's doing it.
Just saying.
I think back too of like the things that we were teased or made fun of, and like how it's like developed now.
Oh yeah,
you know, like
sure.
I remember like a huge thing that would happen, at least to me, was on like AIM. Mm-hmm. I would have like, especially in middle school, like guys from my grade would be like, hey, like trying to like bait me into like admitting I'm gay by telling me they were. Mm-hmm. And I would like be like, oh, I feel bad, like if all this stuff. I also, that was like, speaking of refuting the whole idea, because I didn't want people to know that I was a flaming homosexual in 6th grade. Y'all gotta buckle up for this.
Okay.
6th grade, okay? You read Harry Potter.
What?
Okay. And we had different pods. We had 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", and there's probably about 100 kids in each pod, okay? So in the 6'2" pod that I was in, and you, like I said, you had like 100 kids in it, so, you know, you had different times that you'd go to your English class. It was Harry Potter themed. There were 4 tables, and you were sorted into a house. And everyone was super excited about this. And then what you got to do in November of that is you got to go see the new Harry Potter movie.
Wow.
My mother was like, Harry Potter's the fucking devil. You cannot read the Harry Potter, right? And so I was like, oh, okay. 6th grade, right? I mean, so not only do I have a speech impediment, not only am I like super effeminate, right? But I also now am like the weirdly religious one. And so I was like, but I also like didn't want to get in trouble. And I was like totally willing to do whatever my mom said, right? And so I was like, I need to take it a step further by starting a Bible study at the school. And then I remember going to I swear to God. Swear to God. And I went
in a public school.
And I went up to my 6th grade teacher and I was like, Mrs. Wumsfeld, I'm not going to read Harry Potter. And she's like, okay. I was like, it is the devil and I'm a Christian. And she's like, okay. And so I swear to God. And so she was like, that's fine. So I had to go to a different pod that read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe instead. And so I had to read that with kids that weren't in my classes, right?
I feel like Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe's like
no, but it's
borderline.
Because it's religious undertones. Because C.S. Lewis was super religious.
All right.
The witch is Satan. The lion is God. You know?
Got it.
That's why he comes back to life. Anyways, all this stuff. So I'm just getting through the being made fun of constantly. Right. My 6th grade Mrs. Rumsfeld thought it was so great that I was like, you know, fighting for myself. So that's how I started getting involved in student council, because she nominated me because she's like, he's very outspoken. Clearly. So then I was the weirdly religious one, right? Here's the gag though. You can't take just one pod to a field trip. The entire 6th grade class has to go. So the entire 6th grade class, whether you read Harry Potter or not, got to go watch fucking Harry Potter. What did I have to do? I had to go into a closet while they were there.
A closet.
And watch the BBC 1980s or 1970s version of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Because the new one had not come out yet.
Stop.
I was thrown by this. And then it was done, and they got to like go, I think they went out to eat after, so they walked down to the movie theaters, then they got to go out to eat. I just sat there and, you know, and The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe was not as long as Harry Potter. So I'm just sitting there for the rest of the time, like twiddling my thumbs while no one's there. 6th grade, everyone's 6th grade cafeteria time. Just me. Oh. I went and got a tray and went back in there. I'm like, I'm not about to do that. I can match that
story.
What happened?
As you were thinking. No, you really buckle up. Like, get in one of those things on the upside down roller coaster or whatever. Okay. Do you remember the show All That?
Yes.
Okay. You know, Keenan and Kel.
Yeah.
Amanda Bynes.
I loved Amanda Bynes.
You know, at the end of the show, how they would have like a music performance?
Yeah.
And it was usually like rap music?
Yeah.
Okay. I was not allowed to watch the rap music part. So when that came on, I had to turn it off and go up to bed. I was not allowed to watch rap music. Okay. So that's the preface of this story. So I think I was in 7th or 8th grade because I went with Valentina Bayo, who was my best friend in grade school.
7th and 8th grade. You're like 13, 14 years old.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe I was a little younger.
Don't lie to me.
Okay. I don't know. So, you know how, oh, you're not from here, but Q102 was like the cool radio station here, right? And I was obsessed with O-Town from Making the Band.
For sure.
Obsessed, obsessed, obsessed. And they were performing at, you know how radio stations have that concert where they have like a million acts?
Yeah.
Okay. So O-Town was one of the people performing. So obviously I had to get front row tickets.
Yes.
So I get front row tickets, but, you know, I'm like 12 or 13 and like, you know, I can't watch rap on all that. So my dad came with us to the concert. No, that's not even, no. You think that's the embarrassing part? No. So we're at the concert in the front row, okay? Me, my dad, Valentina Bayo, okay? Ja Rule comes out. Ja Rule. Is everyone familiar with Ja Rule? If not, pause this. Google Ja Rule and then come back. Ja Rule J-Lo is a good one. Anyway, okay, he starts performing and saying curse words. My dad, straight up, like if I didn't fuck up the mic, I would do it, gets up from his seat, is like in front of the stage like this, yelling at Ja Rule.
Shut
like,
up.
I swear to God, security comes. My dad's like, how dare you say this? I don't even remember what he said because I like trauma blocked it out. Okay. It was so bad that I think O-Town had already performed, or I don't even know if they did. I would have to ask my dad. Because I think they might not have performed yet, and I think we might have had to stay after that. Okay, but my dad, like, wasn't done. Like, first of all, that continued throughout the entire performance.
This isn't like a kid's concert either. It's just a concert.
It's a concert, okay? And my dad is walking the entire length of the stage because we're in literally the front row.
No.
Okay? So, and he's just like pointing and yelling. And back then, my dad wasn't on Zoloft, so his anger was very bad. Very bad. And I was like frozen. Okay? Now, let me just make it worse because the next morning, you know what happened?
What?
They talked about it on the radio.
No.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
But they didn't talk by name. Like they.
I mean,
they
didn't know like who we were, but
did they get like a recording?
God,
of it?
Social media did not exist.
Oh my
then.
God, it would have been.
Thank God.
It would have. I mean,
I would have gone viral, but
I don't know. Here's the thing, though. Parents will go like full on like Mama Papa Bear on people without hesitation. I mean, Ja Rule didn't deserve that, but Ja Rule just Ja Ruling, you know. I would be.
He was. I don't even. It was. I can't.
Something about parents like trying, because your dad's like trying to defend, right, in some way, like you
My
know.
innocence. Yeah.
When I was in speech stuff, and I would still do really fast so that I could just get what I wanted to say out without people like really hearing the stuff. Didn't really work, but I was in the musical in 6th grade. Called The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, and I was my sister's dad in it, Mr. Van Houten. And one of my lines specifically was, "You see those geese up there, Malta? You see how they fly south? You never see a goose fly south by himself, and you never see a goose fly with just one wing." And I kept saying it really fast. And I had a bunch of other ones that I can't remember, but I remember that one specifically because the director would yell at me and yell at me and yell at me. So we are getting notes, and in front of everyone, like a weekend before we open, was like, Natasha, my older sister, who was always the lead, always like, you know, the director was obsessed with my sister, was like, you need to go home and work with your brother on slowing down because he sounds awful. And was like going on in front of everyone about how bad I was. And I was like, okay. So after rehearsal, we go to the car, I sit down in it, and I just start bawling hysterically. And my mom's like, what is wrong? And my sister's like, Mrs. Gundon said this, this, and this to tell, and it really upset him. My mother goes in there and raises Cain. I mean, just is like going off, right? And she comes back in there, and I remember her like being like, "This isn't fucking Broadway." And I was like, "Mom, please don't embarrass me." I never got a like singular role after that, ever. My sister still did. Still loved Natasha. Never did I get a role. Never did I was never solo anything. Nothing after that.
It's so funny how, like, Zoloft and a heart attack calmed my dad down. Because if I needed my dad to defend my honor now, he'd be like, Emery, just calm down and deal with it.
It'll be fine.
That's, like, literally how my dad is now. But before that, Mr. Smith, when I was a junior, senior in high school, we were like real advanced because turnitin.com existed then. Okay.
No.
Yeah, swear. Turnitin.com. We would put our paper in turnitin.com. It was like early days of turnitin.com. Okay. It was a group project. So me and this other girl, she plagiarized her part.
Stop.
Swear. And I just like put her part into the paper. But like, why would I think anything else? I mean, I don't know. Whatever. So our paper from turnitin.com comes back as plagiarism, right? And Mr. Smith tells me, you're getting a 0 for this assignment. But like, I had 100 average in the class, so like I wasn't going to fail, right? But first of all, I got grounded if I ever got below a 90. So
oh my God,
there was that. But I like called my dad and I was like, Dad, this is what happened. Oh, wait, I forgot the best part. Oh, no, that didn't happen yet. Okay. I call my dad. My dad literally leaves work.
No.
Yes, leaves work. And then all I see is my dad marching down the hallway, demanding the dean of students. I can't remember what her name was. Oh, something Danovich, Miss Danovich. Okay. But she had a first name and my dad was calling her by her first name. Like, you know, Brenda Davin, whatever. And I'm like, oh my God. But like low-key, I was happy because I didn't want a 0.
Yeah.
And I don't know what he said in that room, but I got 100 on the paper. And then after this, after Miss Danovich brought Mr. Smith in, my dad did whatever he did, and Mr. Smith was walking out with his tail between his legs. He stopped and was like, by the way, Emery, you're getting the award for highest average in the class at the award ceremony tomorrow. And I was like, good, I deserve it.
What do you think was like the worst case bullying that you experienced, or one that like had the biggest impact on you?
Well, what I will say in a very general sense is that I experienced workplace bullying in my life. Anyway, they can't really talk about it, but those people are probably like very mentally affected by it.
Yeah.
Very, very. Because like workplace bullying is like between adults, I feel like it can be like so much more like, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, impactful.
Yeah.
Because then you're doubting like your ability to do your job, like the future of your job, your ability to like take care of your family, like all sorts of things that are coming into question. And I think people really struggle with like workplace bullying because, you know, it's like one day they're fine and then the next day they're not, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like staff change, people come and go, and you're always at risk for workplace bullying when new people come.
I think it's also hard because, like you said, it's different when it's an adult. Like even when I was in like high school and middle school and stuff like that, and like people would always be like, "Oh, well, like it gets better before like the It Gets Better campaign," but like, yeah, people are mean in high school and maybe they just feel bad about themselves or all this stuff, which is like kind of true for adults, but it's a little different because sometimes like you can switch jobs if you want, but if you love your job, like it feels a little bit more permanent than like I only have 2 more years and then high school's done. I'm never gonna see these people again, right? So I think that makes it difficult.
Well, I also think it triggers like childhood bullying.
Oh, for sure.
So for some people who were bullied as a child and then experience workplace bullying, and they have like the kind of personality that's really emotive, you know, sometimes they get labeled as like dramatic and over emotional, and you know, it's very hard for people with that personality sometimes to like contain their emotions and not like cry or be like really passionate. And then, you know, similar to like the gaslighting, these people just get labeled as like dramatic and unruly and, you know, whatever it is. And then like you're basically gaslit.
Oh, for sure. 100%, because it's and I think that's the thing. It's like in high school and middle school and stuff when like we were in school, obviously gaslighting, as we talked about last was a thing, but I don't remember so much kids being that manipulative when I was there. Now I don't know if high schoolers are, but I remember when I was first started teaching here when I moved, I was at a private school, and it was the most toxic, and like I would be bullied. And I think the hard thing about being autistic and being bullied is sometimes I don't know if I'm in on the joke or not. Because there's a difference between playful teasing between friends, which I can usually tell, but then there's times where it's like when you're not as familiar with the person, so maybe you don't understand their inflection or can read the sarcasm right away. So I to this day, someone will make a joke or be playfully teasing, and I'll think it's like super mean, and then someone will be like, oh my god, I thought we had that rapport, you know?
Right.
So for a while, it took me a while to understand that I was being bullied, and then one of the first things was, and this was like my administrators, not colleagues. My colleagues were amazing. I was hired. One of the assistant directors said to the head director, "Oh my god, I finally get like a gay best friend." And it's like, that's not bullying in itself. It's like a microaggression because like I'm your subordinate, you're my boss.
That's also
kind of
discriminatory.
100%.
So.
And I was one of two men that worked there.
I would have 100% documented that.
When I didn't know that right away. I didn't know this until a little after I resigned, even that this comment was made. The rest of the comments I did know though.
Oh, okay.
Like it was, you know.
Okay, got it.
The first thing was in the summer we did all these like super fun activities where like it was like a summer camp theme because we was year round. And so one time it was around the world, and for Australia each classroom had to do a different country, and Australia did fairy bread, and fairy bread is like, I think it's just like white bread butter and sprinkles or something. And one of the directors said, and you guys are making fairy bread today, and that's what it's called, Tal. It's actually called fairy bread. We're not just naming it because of you. And I was like, what? And I was like, and this is when I had a foot out the door, but I was like, and then it like had me like go back and thinking of all the things that was said to me. So like at one point I was saying, oh yeah, I grew up like liberal Mennonite, more Quaker, not Amish. And they were like, so you're a gay Puerto Rican and grew up Mennonite, so like you're like a gay unicorn.
You know what's fucked about that? Nationally, federally, you can't, like, there's no protections for gay people for discrimination. Now, it's up to the state and counties. So a lot of counties will do it, and a lot of workplaces will do it.
For sure.
So as long as your workplace in their documents say won't discriminate on the basis of sexual orientation, like, you can still sue them.
I wouldn't know it was in the handbook because when I started like blowing up on social media, I was in the office every Monday talking about my post for the week, and I was like, that's eventually I was like, I don't want to be in here every week. You don't want me in here every week. I know I'm not putting anything that would get me in trouble. I've never shot my classroom. I've never said where I worked. I will never ever record a student, use their voice. Like, I would never do any of that. I said I don't even tell stories of things that happened that day. It's usually what happened like a few years ago, but I like mix and match things so that I never want someone to feel bad, right? I knew everything was fine. And so I said, well, just show me the handbook. They didn't even know where their fucking handbook was or had seen their handbook. So they had to write a social media clause in there. It was
because you're protected by the First Amendment as long as you're not.
I wasn't doing anything. Exactly. And I would never, I came from a Head Start where it was HIPAA. If I said a child's name, not just like, oh, you shouldn't, or FERPA or whatever.
Insurance paid for it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no.
Well, FERPA too, because it's school district, right?
For Head Start, though, it was a federal thing, and federally, because it was a federal program, so if you're a federal worker, there is this sexual orientation clause for federal workers. Well, Head Start's considered a federal program, so I was protected in Head Start. And in fact, in Head Start, they encourage us to like read books about any and every kind of person and all these different types of cultures and stuff like that, right? This school I was at, I thought was pretty forward thinking and all that stuff. And so when they kept this, and the final straw. I'm like, I think I'm gonna quit. I talked Jason about it. I'm like, I think I need to resign and go to a different school. I was already looking at different jobs at different schools. I was also going back to school. So I was like, it was the Friday before I quit the following Tuesday. I took Monday off, quit Tuesday. It was Cinco de Mayo. And the director, the owner of the school, goes, Happy Cinco de Mayo, Tal. And it's like, okay. And I'm signing in. And she's like, are you super excited? And I'm like, I guess, sure. Are you going to have like margaritas tonight? I'm like, probably not. And she's like, you can speak Spanish all day to the kids if you want. And I was like, why are you? And she's like, it's Cinco de Mayo. And I said, uh-huh. And she's like, don't you celebrate it? I said, I'm Puerto Rican. And she goes, okay. And I said, Cinco de Mayo it's not even really technically. A lot of Mexicans don't even celebrate it, but it's more of a Mexican holiday. It's not a Puerto Rican holiday. And she's like, okay, I swear, hand to God, she did not realize that Puerto Rico is not part of Mexico.
Stop.
Hand to God, she's I thought a fairly intelligent person.
Puerto Rico is part of the United
It's
States.
a Commonwealth of the United States because it was like colonized like years and years ago, but it's not. It's not even in the same spot as Mexico. Mexico's in South America, or Central America.
Yeah.
North America, technically. North and Central. Puerto Rico's in the Caribbean. But yeah,
I mean, listen, I can't hate on people that don't know geography.
But because, you don't have to know where. You just have to know that
St.
it's
Louis, like every 6 weeks and couldn't put it on a map.
It's over there. But that was one of the most wild workplace bullying.
That's horrible.
Ever. It was, and
there are some other people that probably experienced that just can't talk about it.
I'm sure there is. It's listen.
And, I would advise people to really educate themselves about the rights you have as an employee, especially as a teacher. Because teachers, like you said, if there's any insurance funding that's accepted, and a lot of programs do have insurance funding, like for some type of program, right? So then the rules of HIPAA apply and everything contained within that. And then you have so many laws that relate to schools, like FERPA, the ADA, there's a million different things, right? But I think that teachers are gaslit into thinking that they have no rights.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
And also probably punished for causing trouble.
100%.
But if I was a teacher, because I think that teachers are a heavily abused profession,
100%.
I would put that shit in writing every single day. Everything that happened, I'd be typing it out in an email either to my boss or to HR. I just want to blah, 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 blah. And then keep your file of every email or star it and put it in a folder in your email because you never know.
We've always been taught, and I think now everyone's kind of taught this, that if you didn't document it, it didn't happen kind of thing. So when I left that school specifically, I documented everything, everything. But a year into, I was like, I'm gonna have to start writing this stuff up, and I did. And I would either send the email to myself or send it to them. So I would and they'd be, can we jump on a phone call? I'm like, nope, busy, but you can email me back.
Yeah. Or you can do the phone call, summarize the phone call, send it to them, ask them to confirm.
Hey, just want to thank you for this.
Because they'll always try to do phone or in person.
Oh yeah, and here's the thing too. Even if they don't confirm that was what was said, if they didn't email you back, but you know that they got it, that's confirmed. But I remember I had a kid I got home and I was telling Jason about how terrible my day was. This was the Cinco de Mayo day as well. And I looked down and the child had was having a crisis. And so me and the assistant teacher were keeping them safe, right? And the kid was throwing things at me, or he would run up and start clawing me and then go back, to where he was. And I was like, okay, as long as he's not hurting anyone else, it's totally fine. But I disassociated because it was so overwhelming, right? And the thing was, if this is the wall in my classroom, the office for the assistant directors was on the other side, so they could hear everything. And they would let me know they could hear everything because they'd be like, we're trying to have a meeting. I'm sorry. So this kid claws me, right? And so I had every single incident that happened prior to this, I had written about. So I remember going home and I per my email 2 weeks ago, my email 3 weeks ago, the email with the mother who said
Did he draw blood?
Oh yeah, it was bad. I didn't know it until I got home. I was talking to Jason.
The school didn't have a policy on you going to
for me getting.
Yeah.
I'm sure they did. I by the time I got home, I took a picture of it and was showing them that.
You should have seen someone for workers' comp on that shit.
Oh, I mean, this same child, right? So this was a preschool and it was a private school, right? And so some of the kids, we would hold, and not hold as in a safety hold, like a child, because my kids would be 2 years old sometimes, and so you are, and it's appropriate to hold a 2-year-old, right? So I'd be sitting there holding the 2-year-old if I was poking them down somewhere or whatever, and the kid, he was 1.5 at the time because I moved up with the kiddos. He goes one way as I take him down from the diaper changing station. He goes one way and I go like this and I throw my back out. I've never done it before in my life, and I could finally understand why people go absolutely crazy wild when it happens. I couldn't breathe. Like at one point, I literally could not crawl to the bed. It hurt so bad. And like, oh, I guess you could see a chiropractor. And I'm like, what is your guys' policy? Because I know I have to go to whoever you guys tell me to.
Right.
And like I ended up taking like a week off. They paid me for it, which was great. And then
did you see a workers' comp doctor?
No, because they kept telling me I'm not gonna go to a chiropractor. That's not a doctor. They're a doctor. They're not a doctor.
I think they were engaging in illegal activity at this place.
Listen, that's why I'm not going to say names.
Which, I mean, if they're accepting Medicaid, then they're regulated.
This place did. This place was.
Oh, okay.
I don't think they did. This is a very affluent private school.
Because then you're licensed by DHS.
Yeah. This was. I don't think they had. They might have taken like low, certain percentage of low income. But I don't know if it was just a write off on the school's part or how that. I have no idea. But it was the scratching. I remember like I was documenting. The parents were like, he's not to come back until he has a wraparound. He never got the wraparound, but he was allowed to come back, and so that's what I was using. And their response to me was, "Well, what did you do to make him scratch you?" Was the response I got.
Oh my god! What were you wearing?
Oh, right. Like. Well, what did you? I'm like, I can't do this. I went home. I was like, Cinco de Mayo shit happened. This shit. And Jason, my husband, was like, yeah, you should just resign. I was like, he's like, you're going to be like, why don't you go work at a school part-time while you're in grad school, which is what I did. And then just like go to a place that like gives a shit. Mm-hmm. It's tough. I feel like you were saying, teachers not only don't know where they're protected, right? And they have protections, but also like are so horrifically bullied sometimes by admin or by their peers. And I'm like,
and a lot of teachers have unions, right?
Yeah, we didn't because we were early childhood center.
Yeah, my friend Kristen from the bachelorette party, they have a union.
Yeah, most places do. I mean, some states like won't allow, which is wild. But yeah, I mean, had we had a union, which we didn't technically, we didn't have a union at all. But what we ended up starting to do, especially during COVID, is we'd band together and we'd be like, hey, we don't feel comfortable going into school the day before Thanksgiving because everyone has COVID and we want to see our families. So we're not coming in, and you can decide if you tell the parents that we're not coming, because every other school canceled that week, canceled the week. So we're not coming in. So you can decide whether or not you tell the parents that none of your teachers showed up, or that you were the ones who called it off. But we're not coming. So like we had to do stuff like that all the time. And so it's like we weren't unionized for sure, but we very quickly found out there's power in numbers. I also was told.
But also you were lucky that everyone agreed.
Oh, for sure. And we would talk beforehand and then invite. Like that's what we did for this. We all met on Zoom and then asked the directors if they would come in. I found out when I resigned, like a few months later, maybe even a year later, that they felt very pigeonholed, like they couldn't get rid of me because like by the time I left there, I was the only person of color. I was the only queer person. I was the only guy that worked there. So I think they were like, everyone else was like a white older woman. So I think they're like, oh fuck, what do we do?
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's also like being Pride Month. I think it's also important to realize that there are still super conservative people.
Absolutely.
And people that are religious, and there are religions that fund anti-gay agendas, right?
100%.
Like I can think of a few that do that. And like you don't feel safe around that, you know?
No, and I think that we've talked about this before. I think that's why I'd rather a person just be downright homophobic to me than the nice homophobic. Right? Then the person's like, well, I just don't love this sinner, not the sin. That's the worst thing you can say to someone. Like, I agree. Like, you don't feel safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough. It's like sometimes you don't feel safe in high school, middle school, being gay, and then you grow up and you realize some of the spaces you're in don't feel
well,
that.
I mean, and coming out at work is also like a thing, right?
For sure.
Let's just put it out there. Like, I don't look like a lesbian, right? So, like, I can't tell you the amount of times that at work, people would ask me, what does your boyfriend do? What does your husband do? What does your fiance do? Oh, does he, will he? And, like, you're sitting there in that moment and you're like, do I correct them or do I not correct them? And sometimes you just don't have time to correct them. So you're like, oh, whatever. But, like, when you do start correcting and then like everyone becomes aware, like you're like coming out all the time.
Yeah. Oh, it's not just like a one-time thing, right?
Right.
Like you said, especially because people conceived notions of what a gay person should look like, right? Like what a lesbian should look like, what a gay man should look like, what a trans person should look like. Their society is like, oh, if you don't look like this or this or this, the stereotypes. If you don't fit my stereotype of you, then yeah, you're right. But it's not the right side's meme of like, did you assume my gender? I'm like, no one's going around saying that. No queer person, trans person's going around screaming that to people. Like, that is a fallacy. But like, I don't ever operate as I assume someone's sexuality because I just don't know, right? And so like, I feel like we slip up, but for someone to just assume, oh, what's your husband do, or what does your fiance do, or what does your boyfriend do, or whatever, and you're like,
and then you like feel like an asshole correcting them.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, for sure.
Do you want to know something? Like, so you're not even gonna believe this when I tell you this. So you know how Colleen and I are getting married.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you know, we should do our coming out stories one time.
For sure.
But so I can't really explain it. But regardless, you know, my parents being supportive is like a big deal.
Yeah.
And they are supportive.
Yeah.
So I asked my dad to like give me his list of like who he wanted to invite to the wedding. You know how like parents invite, you know. Yeah. Colleen's list has like 780 people on it. You know, she has like 5 brothers and sisters who like procreate, you know. And like all of their families have like 5 or 6.
Right.
You know, it's like I have 2 cousins total. Anyway, I digress. So, I didn't even realize this until my mom told me the story that I'm going to tell after this. But the way that my parents told their friends that I was marrying a woman or that I was gay or that I was the save the date that just came.
Oh my gosh.
Now, let's make it even more sad. Okay. Well, first of all of these people have been friends for like, how old are my parents? Like probably like 50 years. So like a long time they've all been friends.
Yeah.
Like close friends still. Okay.
Yeah.
I just need you to picture this. So they get the save the dates. Presumably they understand.
Yeah.
One of the people in this group calls my dad and says, no, it's not going to be what you think. I think you and I have something in common. They have a child who is gay.
And that's how he brought it up? I mean, it's kind of endearing.
These people
and sweet,
never,
but, like, never
talked about it. I mean, they probably felt like so free, like in that moment, to be able to talk to one of their long-term. But that is so sad.
I was gonna say that's like it makes me. I love that like they get to have that moment, but like
you're that afraid of judgment, and they're like, we haven't told everyone else yet.
I think that's.
I hope my parents don't listen to this.
Whenever I talk to clients about that, I think that's, and we should do an entire episode of coming out, but especially it's Pride Month. But whenever I talk to clients about that, I always, when they are worried about not only how their parents will react, because a lot of my clients will be like, I'm not so much worried about the reaction of my parents. It's like what it means for them and their friends and their church and all this and this and this and this. And I'm like, that is not for you to, you have no control over how people are going to respond to this, and that is something that you don't have to worry about because that's their response, not yours.
I mean, I empathize with the anxiety that my parents feel because I felt the same anxiety and to an extent still feel that anxiety, and I give my parents like all the like gratitude, love, and appreciation in the world for even doing this, because there was a long time that I thought like I'm gonna have like 3 people at my wedding.
Oh, for sure.
Like I really thought that.
Same,
And it's just like crazy to me how far we've come. But I just thought it was so sad that I wasn't even upset with my parents for like it being that. But like the friend calling my dad and saying that and like having that like shared experience that could have been shared probably for like
years,
over a decade.
For sure.
Like
that, I think
wild.
It's and I hope that even in that moment too, they were like, oh, I guess this isn't as like a heavy of a thing, right? But I think and some of it comes from like a parent's worry of their child being teased or taunted or whatever. I remember coming home before my dad said he always knew, and I believe my dad always knew, but my mom was like shell-shocked by it. But I feel like when you come home crying because you were in middle school and high school and you were teased and you were made fun of, or, called these names. And I think that, like, for my mom, it was so difficult because when I came out, she was like, it's going to start all over again. But now people are going to have the, like, confirmation that he's gay. I will say, I feel like I've been teased a lot less for being gay as an adult than I was as a kid. And I think
for sure,
as an adult, I just feel like it's, I don't want to say easier, but I think I just feel so much pity for the person who's, like, launching something homophobic at me. And I'm much more sharper tongued now than I was then. So usually I can turn it around pretty quick.
I'm usually, like, much better in, like, all aspects than the people who used to bully me, which I think is totally karma. Like, sure. I have far less wrinkles. I think I'm far more attractive.
You're having, like, a better life. Like,
yeah. And it's just, like, you're probably because they were mean people. You know?
I think, listen, if you're wondering if you're a adult and getting bullied, if you're a kid or getting bullied, right? Here's the thing about it. I truly believe that people who are bullying, it's not even just like they don't love themselves, they don't this, they don't that. I think they just, like, know more about themselves and love her now, and just they just don't feel like a great person. They really truly have, like, so little self-worth.
Or they just get enjoyment out of hurting other people. That's possible.
Yeah, and I think some of those people, you'll see the people who enjoy getting hurt out of others are the ones the bullies that we do see that succeed, right? I think the ones that are kind of give you the hardest time, at least for me, where they haven't done anything with their life, really. Yeah. The ones that got enjoyment out of it, like, are super successful. Congrats, dude. But, like, the ones who just, like, I could even tell at the time, I'm like, I think if I wasn't so taken back by it, I couldn't look back now and feel, again, pity. I don't even say empathy or sympathy for them. I pity how they were in high school and now, because I'm like, it's like they almost knew that, like, this was it for them. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't have an ambition or a dream or a goal to achieve.
Isn't it wild how, like, as you get older, like, all of that stuff in childhood, like, people don't know it anymore, so you've almost, like, reinvented yourself.
Yeah.
Like, so, like, if you met me and, like, knew me and were friends, well, I mean, you did, and someone said, like, were you popular in school? Like, what do you think you would have said?
For you?
Yeah.
I would have assumed yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Like, probably, like, one of the least popular.
Really?
Oh, for sure, 100%. Yep.
Isn't that weird, though? It's like, I feel like, especially as queer people, we get to glow up in adulthood, and for other people, they don't glow up.
Yeah, they just look worse.
Yeah, and they are worse. They're just, like, a worse person. Like, I don't. For me, it'd be hard to say whether I was or not, because I was, like, homecoming king and stuff like that. But, like, the first time I was homecoming court, it was a joke. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I would have guessed that it could have gone either way, because I would have guessed you're in, like, a conservative town and you were out. Like, I wasn't out. Like, that wasn't even, like, a part of it. But I was still, like, not popular and a loser, but it's fine.
I was out towards, like, the last year I was in high school. I think before that, it's one of those things that, like, I was made fun of so much that I figured out if I'm funny, I get made fun of less. And if I beat them to the joke about me, then I get to make the joke and they don't.
So were you popular?
I was. You
had groups. Like,
we did have groups. I was not in
Mean Girl style.
Yeah, here's the thing. I wasn't in the popular group, but I genuinely talked to everyone. The group I was in was me, my best friend Tana, again, of, like, 25 years, and then our friends Steph and Zach. And they were a year ahead of us. So, like, it was the four of us constantly together. And with that, we would jump from, like, group to group and talk with people. But we would never... The popular group in school was actually not the popular kids. Does that make sense?
No.
Like, the kids that in any cliche movie you'd watch, like, the pretty girls and the jock guys were not the most popular kids at our school, because they were so fucking mean that and our school was, like, 300 kids per class. I think I might have graduated with 400 kids in my class. That, like, the people who did the sports weren't the sports and all that weren't the ones who were your homecoming or prom, if that's how we calculate popularity. It was, like, the band and choir kids, right?
No, like, we totally had the Mean Girls hierarchy, for sure. Like,
I think they thought we did, but no.
Do you think Colleen was popular?
Oh, for sure. I can't imagine she wasn't. Was she?
You literally answered me before the question was out. How are you so sure?
because we've always talked about you, like, oh, so that she, like, never went through an ugly phase and stuff like that.
I know, what a bitch.
Yeah. I can't imagine she wasn't.
Oh, yeah. She was totally, like,
Yeah.
the most popular, 100%.
Yeah.
She played, like, multiple varsity sports.
Yeah.
She always looked like that.
Yeah,
like,
listen, I'll put up
and
pictures
she also
here and
beat
here.
people up. So it was like, you come at her and she's gonna, like...
I didn't.
So people, like, back then she was a bad bitch and she was popular. Colleen doesn't know what it feels. I'm not even kidding you. This is a good place. She doesn't know what it feels like to be bullied. I would say, she would say the only time she's been bullied in her life was when the army didn't want her when she got cancer.
And that's not even bully. That's like
Right.
discriminated against.
Right.
Like that's like,
Right.
It's because I don't wish on anyone, right? I think being bullied has made me a more empathetic person. I think it's made me a tougher person, sometimes for good reasons, sometimes for bad reasons. Like good, tough, bad, tough. But I think it's also like giving me my wit and humor. Because that's like all
self-deprecating
humor.
Yeah,
100%. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't wish it on anyone, but I also like I at the time, if I could have changed it, I would have. But looking back now, it happened the way it should have.
Right. Also, I think we had less to deal with back then because there wasn't social media, so there wasn't like a lot of like stuff that you can make fun of that like lasted beyond like the moment.
Like
we
had. I was in school, graduating school when Gossip Girl first started, so that's when people started getting Gossip Girl, fun show to watch, but that people were like, wait, we can anonymously do this doesn't get really shitty, and like that started a lot of online teasing. But I feel like my junior and senior year was the first time there was like really online like stuff, but not social media, right? Like you didn't have Facebook on your phone. Like I had a Razr flip phone. Yeah, I was like, I loved my Nokia brick. I'd play Snake on it all the time. But like, when I started high school, you didn't even have the option to get on the internet.
Oh,
wait, I don't even think. When I graduated, you didn't have the option to get on the internet. So, like...
I was telling one of my clients this, and she was like, wait, is it true? Like, I heard that you used to have to, like, dial up to get on the internet. And then she, like, sent a picture of, like, you know, the Mac computer that was all colored. It looked like the Apple. Yes. She was like, oh, my God, did you have these? I was like, that was, like, advanced for us. That was, like... cool, like modern.
Our computer lab had the colored ones. I think they were orange.
They were all orange. Different colors.
Like the ones we had were orange.
Okay.
I think they might have had a couple of computer labs, and the other ones were the old the Macintosh.
Yeah, like the beige computer.
Yeah. So, and I've always thought about this. I wonder how they dialed up in school, because we were on the internet. But I don't ever remember dialing up.
That's a great question.
Because like
were we on the internet though?
We did. So we had computers like with this thing with like the microphone that like never worked. I don't know why we had it. We did. I'm talking early internet. We were on doing something called Type to Learn. I
think that was one of those CD programs. Like
Type
Oregon Trail was on a CD.
But this was like a program like that the teacher would get to, so I think it had to be the internet because it would go to them. We definitely 100%. I remember having internet in school.
Oh no, we never had that.
Because I'm trying to figure out how we got
until high
on.
school,
Yeah,
but...
even in high school though, I can't remember logging because we definitely didn't have cable. Well, maybe the end of high school we had cable because we had dial-up throughout almost all of high school.
I guess the school just had to have that many phone lines.
Good for them.
Right? I know. Wild.
You guys can make fun of us for being old.
Yeah, I know. It's so crazy. I mean, probably everyone watching this went through the same thing.
Yeah, 100%. The good news is, I have a dent in it now. That's gonna be embarrassing. I'm waiting to get like bullied a little bit for the haircut that I did.
Oh my God.
A full circle moment. As we wrap it up. The first time I ever buzzed my hair like this was because my dad was completely bald, and I wanted a haircut, and my parents didn't know how to give a fade, whatever. I wanted a bowl cut. I wanted the Jonathan Taylor Thomas, and my dad starts cutting my hair and realizes he can't do it, so he just buzzes it all off. I have no idea though, and I turn and look at the mirror, and I blood curdle screamed. I thought I was like dying. I'm like, why is my hair gone? Because it was shorter than this. And then I went to school, and the kids just made fun of me. So I was like, oh no, but we did it again. We cut it again.
I had the most horrific bangs that I got teased for.
Did you cut them?
At a point, but my mom would like curl them under with a curling iron.
The bumped bangs.
Yeah. It was, my mom really had me like in the
Listen,
little
though,
doll phase.
Those bangs, the curtain bangs are in now.
I know. I'm telling you, my mom
ahead of the
was
time.
ahead of the trend. Ahead of the trend.
Do you think next time we should do a Pride episode?
I think so.
We'll wear rainbows.
I mean, my coming out story, I don't know. We'll see.
We'll talk coming out and all things gay and happy coming out stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll just skip some parts.
Yeah. 100%. We won't trauma dump.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Yeah.
People feel bad for stuff and
100. Agreed. For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed ? The episode about bullying.
I mean, we basically just talked about
our bullying.
How we got bullying.
Yeah.
Obviously it affects mental health.
We know this clearly. That's why we probably got into what we're doing now.
Right. Exactly. Just make inferences.
Yeah.
From
Absolutely.
Our hopefully they were funny.
I thought.
Ja Rule.
Why every time I hear Ja Rule, was there a song that was like Ja Rule, Sean Kingston?
Yeah.
Was it Your Way to You? I don't know. I might be making shit up now.
I'm thinking of the J-Lo one though. You know what was that J-Lo one called?
The I'm Real.
Yeah.
Everyone's gonna be that was not Ja Rule, but it's fine.
Yes, it was.
Was it? Okay, thank God. I was like, I can't remember. Was it Ja Rule?
Ja Rule, yeah. J-Lo and J-Lo, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ja Rule.
Ja Rule and J-Lo.
All right, yeah. Thanks for watching. Like I said, next time maybe we'll do a Pride one because it's June. We'll wear rainbows and Vogue or something.
Maybe bring some gays on.
Yeah, we'll bring the
gays.
the gals, guys, the gays, and the days. We'll bring them on. Thanks for listening to us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.